In 1968, the American told the Bikinian that Bikini was safe and clean for the people to go back to. And then in 1978, they said, whoops, sorry. It's actually a little bit more radiated than we thought.
In my 20s, I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. Every morning, a doctor came to my hospital door to point a Geiger counter at me to measure how hot I was. On my door and hospital bracelet were the radiation symbols. I was the radioactive material.
Well, when they had the fallout way back in 1991, the woman, my friend that lived next door to me, she got cancer and died.
Le Niger, c'est un pays où on produit de l'uranium il y a 50 ans, mais c'est le pays le plus pauvre du monde. Et de l'autre côté, et puis bon, on nous laisse avec la pollution durable et toutes les maladies imaginables.
महिलाओं का जो रेडिएशन के कारण देखने को मिलता है, यहाँ बच्चे विकलांग पैदा हो रहे हैं और काफी मरे हुए बच्चे पैदा हो रहे हैं घर.
There has not been any compensation for the loss of traditional lands and infringement of the treaty rights.
People talk about grief and loss. Well, we live with it every day.
My father started building the plant in 1943, and then later into plutonium production at the Manhattan site there at Hanford.
Many of my veteran friends have died early or suffering from an early age from radiation-caused diseases, although the British government do not admit that.
なんでこんな病気にならないかのがないと僕に言ったけどね。
結婚、就職などの差別を恐れ、被爆者であることを隠し続けている人たちも少なくありません。
Those at greatest risk are young children who are at much higher risk than adults, and women and girls generally are about 40% more susceptible to the cancer risk than men.
2세와 3세대의 그 후유증이 심각하기로 이루 말할 수 없습니다.
We want independent investigation and the compensation for the local people and free medical care.
We need a more scientific and rational radiation protection regime to ensure rights and dignity of nuclear survivors.
And my dad footprint walk around here and then show the place like when there was start a long time ago. I'm here, the daughter one there.
For us in the Pacific, it continues to affect generations and it must be recognized and it must be remediated.
This is always imposed by the colonialists.
We would call environmental racism that stems from nuclear colonialism.
But compounding these harms are the silences imposed, the lies told, the limitations of access to information. But importantly, we also see something brilliant, the determination to continue to take a stand.
To embrace it with greater empathy and support, to build the strong collective voice for nuclear justice.
We, as Indigenous peoples around the world, unite, get our voices and stories out.
Последних жертв в истории всех ядерных испытаний. Чтобы больше...
Faut se battre, faut se lever, faut pas avoir honte.
We began to meet face to face with federal officials.
Se souvenir en enseignant les 193 essais nucléaires français. Pendant longtemps, ce sujet a été tabou.
We need to make sure that the governments who did and the countries that made this testing and did this testing and affected these people signed this TPNW.
We must better understand the needs of those harmed by nuclear weapons, and we must ensure that these communities are fully informed also of their rights under the treaty.
Already this forum is a start to hear from survivors on what states should do, and the meeting of states parties will be an important step to take forward those recommendations. The governments, parliamentarians, civil society organizations, cities, activists, financial institutions, that they all take action based on the kind of knowledge that has been shared here today.